If you have been following this story since everything kicked off, what was that, summer of last year with Assassin's Creed Shadows, you've already arrived at the conclusion that now the Access media has finally arrived at with Assassin's Creed Shadows being a make or break for Ubisoft. Yeah, we know. Okay, you can take a look at the stock prices. You can take a look at them hiring firms to explore whatever sort of options they have moving forward. Tencent circling the wagons. And yeah, Ubisoft coming out of 2025 as a functioning business is probably the least likely outcome, I would imagine, right? Like if I was a betting man right now, I would say that Tencent takes a larger stake in Ubisoft. The Guillemot family maintains, I would say, either a majority or at least a controlling stake, where they maintain at least 51, maybe 40%, maybe they sell off a bunch, but at least they have a plurality of the votes, and Ubisoft is still open by the end of the year. That's what I'm thinking at this point in time. But then again, I don't know how bad things are going to get for them, because I don't know the entire slate of their releases. We still haven't had a big event. I know Xbox has something planned for next week, but Sony or one of just the big, game celebration conferences, we don't know if they're going to try to get in bed with Nintendo, which, yeah, with all of the Switch 2 rumors that are going around right now, who knows if they're going to try to hop on that bandwagon, strengthen an already tight relationship, because, well, they tried at the beginning of the launch of the Switch with those Mario and Rayman Rabbids, so it's still a spin-off of Rayman, but the first game was good. The second one came out and nobody played it, but the first one was good. Kind of baby's first XCOM, but nothing wrong with that. But all things considered, yeah, if Assassin's Creed Shadows isn't, as long as it's passable, right? Like Ubisoft will make it through the end of the year, but no further than that, okay? Like nobody will have faith in the continuation of the franchise unless, of course, it involves a total gutting of the studio. But we're getting ahead of ourselves on this one because we got to look forward to March 20th, okay? And the fact that Domino's Pizza, of all things, is mocking them right now, I think we can see that the writing is on the wall. So they might be getting a little bit ahead of themselves in announcing that there's going to be DLC for this. It's like, bro, I'm sure you guys had big, lofty plans for Star Wars Outlaws. Why do you continue to do this? You also had big plans for Skull and Bones, XDefiant. The list goes on and on. Assassin's Creed Shadows first expansion, Claws of Awaji. Okay, we'll have 10 plus hours of new content. Cool. Can you focus on like the main game being solid moving forward before you have these big grandiose plans of DLC expansions? Can you go ahead and do that? Can you really nail that down? Do you remember when Ubisoft used to ship completed games, and if they had expansion plans, it was totally standalone experiences? Like, I go back to the one thing that has kind of hamstrung them as a company since its success, the Assassin's Creed 2, Far Cry 3 1-2 punch. Fantastic games, some of the best games of all time, in fact, but because of the success of Assassin's Creed 2, I don't necessarily know if they had plans of just moving forward with numerated iterations, but I hung around with the story of Ezio Auditore for Brotherhood and Revelations. I might have those backwards, but I remember playing through those, and yeah, the second one, I would imagine like a sequel was probably pretty necessary, and while the plot of the third game is completely and totally forgettable, we're going to go after against the Borgias, it's so cool and all that stuff, we're tying in with history, but Assassin's Creed isn't about being, historically accurate or anything like that, of course not. They came through with fun gameplay innovations, like they had the multiplayer stuff, like that was fun. Asymmetrical online play. Ubisoft used to be at the cutting edge. I know this sounds very, very nonsensical, but they used to be at the cutting edge when it came to innovation. And if they had an idea for a game, they weren't trying to piecemeal it out and then try to extract as many resources from their user base as possible. No, they would make a new game, they would package it up and ship it out complete. Or in the case of Far Cry 3, if they have a cool idea of how to expand upon the gameplay, they would release a big standalone experience like Far Cry Blood Dragon. But no, you don't even know if Shadows is going to resonate with any audiences. Chances are it's not going to, but you're already planning for an expansion. This is wild stuff. What are the odds? I don't think. Okay, like maybe I'm being a little bit optimistic that Ubisoft, a name that has been synonymous with gaming for a very long time, a studio that has been around just about as long as Atari and Activision. Okay, like they're one of the OGs back in the cut. They might be gone. They might be gone at the end of the year. Who knows, man? But Assassin's Creed Shadows' first expansion, Claws of Awaji, has been revealed to contain over 10 hours of additional content. That new information comes courtesy of Assassin's Creed Shadows' Steam page, which was updated after the game's recent delay. As part of the update, a new description reads, "Pre-purchase now to get a bonus mission in the upcoming Claws of Awaji expansion. Travel to a new region, get over 10 hours of additional content, and unlock a new weapon type, new skills, gear, and abilities." In addition to Claws of Awaji, Inside Gamer also exclusively reported in October of 2024 that Ubisoft is planning to release a co-op mode for Shadows and is currently under the codename League. Yeah, that's interesting. So you're going to have a League of Shadows. I wonder if Warner Brothers has already sent over the cease and desist. But you would think, okay, because you're touting that, oh, you're going to have all of these cool stories that your dual protagonists are going to have. Wouldn't you naturally have a co-op experience to begin with? And remember, this game was already supposed to be released for 2 months at this point in time. It would have already been out of the news cycle if they would have just ripped the band-aid off. But nope, you're giving yourself all of this lead time to set up for disaster, because we know who's working on this stuff, man. Okay, we've seen the disasters that you launched last year. Okay, and then even going before that, when Ubisoft had already a shaky reputation in the gaming sphere, it's just, it all got highlighted last year. Okay, and Ubisoft, desperate to avoid another Star Wars Outlaws, fear YouTube reaction on Assassin's Creed Shadows. So we've already cemented that legacy. Okay, sources tell me, this is according to Grums, they are putting a tremendous amount of time into polish and bug fixes for the smoothest possible launch. Yeah, but you still got the Black Samurai running around executing Asians. You still have the reused animations. Okay, this thing could run as smooth as butter, even though we've already seen the recommended PC specs and everybody's just also roasting those as well. It could be that base level of acceptable of it being a playable video game when it ships March 20th, but it's all going to come down to, as it always does, the good characters, fun gameplay, and a coherent story. Can Ubisoft at this point in time, with the weapons they have at their disposal, deliver that experience? Well, according to a Ubisoft employee, yeah, that's not going to happen. Leaked Ubisoft email from employee calls activists a dead weight. We've talked about this before, how even according to, I think it was Marc-Alexis Cote, okay, so you got somebody that's high up there just touting that like half of the people working on this project have never worked on a game before. So yeah, Ubisoft in disarray. Leaked insider email highlights complete organizational dysfunction overrun by activists. An up-and-coming YouTuber TV recently shared a video covering a leaked email from an employee at Ubisoft sent directly to him that completely exposed the gaming giant's currently ongoing inner destruction. That's the thing. I chose my moniker for ease of enunciation, but not everybody thinks along those same lines. Went through the details, discussing info that shed light on Ubisoft struggles, organizational inefficiencies, and their increasing alienation from their own developers and the gaming audience in general. Their report perfectly exemplifies the crumbling foundation of a once revered gaming giant of Ubisoft. The insider email, a glimpse behind the Ubisoft curtain, I'm going to call him Ancolin. I'm sure he's a great guy, just a tough name. Not only received an email from a Ubisoft insider, but also a very revealing PDF. Oh no, not that type of revealing PDF. The document allegedly originates from someone on Ubisoft's market research team detailing the company's repeated failures. What stood out to me was how Ubisoft developers laughed at the document, as all it did was highlight the very same issues they've been raising for years, issues that Ubisoft's leadership ignored until it became a crisis. The disconnect between Ubisoft developers and upper management is nothing short of insane. Developers feel unheard, the decision often dictated by market research and logistical bottlenecks rather than creativity or any kind of real expertise in the gaming world. While the document doesn't mention DEI specifically, it's hard to read and see all of that stuff and not immediately connect the dots. A factory line for gamers, the demise of creativity. As described in the insider's comparison, the Ubisoft game development process to a factory line where the creativity gets completely suffocated by endless layers of bureaucracy. Insider went on to lament the logistical nightmares course, they've been dealing with, in the event most minor of tasks such as fixing bugs. The developers face weeks of meetings just to approve a fix. Oh shit, no wonder this thing has been, Shadow specifically, has been delayed twice now. It's a factory-like approach at Ubisoft that has driven out the superstars, the best and the brightest developers, and has left them with, well, talent versus activism. Speaking of superstars leaving, the striking insight from the leak was the was the classification of Ubisoft developers into 3 categories. Superstars, highly skilled or often well-known. Most have already left Ubisoft. Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Because you see anybody who has posted their resume or who has touted their accolades in the industry, and almost all of them have previously worked for Ubisoft, for better or for worse, Kim Bel-Air specifically. And then you've got good developers, talented but not prominent enough to secure jobs elsewhere. So yeah, the up-and-comers in the world. And then of course you got the deadweight, but you kind of have that in every single industry, right? It's Pareto's law, right? Where you got 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. So that's not exactly specific to game development. It's just what exactly are they focusing on over here at Ubisoft. The insider went on to specifically criticize the third group, suggesting they prioritize social change and activism over actual development. The leaked PDF pointed to Ubisoft finally recognizing their failed attempt to cater to the widest possible audience. Well, he didn't show the PDF specifically for fear of giving away the source. Oh, fair enough. Okay. Everything he talks about lines up with how Ubisoft has come out with additional information on Assassin's Creed Shadows in the days following the leaked email. Leadership void when bad developers become team leads. Yeah, exactly. And listen, from the indies, the PDF reportedly compares the performance of AAA blockbusters against indie titles, many of which achieve remarkable success with bare bones resources. Ubisoft insanely high budgets. High-budget projects always seem to lag behind smaller, focused games, and that doesn't mean that they need to, man, because the biggest production that they ever put on was Star Wars Outlaws, okay? And it had they touted that it was the biggest advertising budget that they ever did, and what ended up happening with that game? Colossal failure. We haven't even heard how many units that thing shifted, meaning that's even worse. It's so bad that they couldn't even polish that turd remotely. And so that's why they come back to the conclusion that finally CBR is drawing Assassin's Creed Shadows the make or break for Ubisoft. And we see what they're dealing with right now, and I think we know it's going to be a fair amount of the former, leading to the ultimate descent into the latter. Long story short, Ubisoft is fucked to this year. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.